If you asked me what's the top classic game I would want to come to PlayStation 5, I would say Metal Gear Solid 2. You know I love Metal Gear Solid 2. Now that game, that's the game. Or Snake Eater, am I right or am I right? Snake Eater is badass. Or what about Metal Gear Solid 4? That thing is still landlocked to the PS3. You know what? I'll even take the Twin Snakes, okay? But you know what game I would never even think to suggest? The Last of Us. And that is because The Last of Us is already on the PS5. Eventually, they are going to remaster every video game that has sold over 10 copies. Alan Wake was remastered, and that game only sold 2 copies. So on one hand, it makes sense to remaster one of the PS3's greatest video games. Naughty Dog is doing a big push with this franchise. They're doing a TV show. They're making a standalone multiplayer shooter, which will probably be the most financially lucrative thing they've ever produced. And Last of Us Part 1 is going to be the first time this series appears on PC. So from that angle, it makes sense to try and really wow players who've never been able to get at Naughty Dog stuff before. On the other hand, why are you remastering The Last of Us? The original version of this game still looks and plays better than most video games coming out today. Look at this new Saints Row that just came out. I thought this shit was an Xbox 360 launch title.
This is my road. Wait, do not pursue. Okay. What?
The PlayStation 5 has been out for almost 2 years now. Still, the only way to get one is to buy it at an inflated price from a scalper, and the 2 biggest titles on the console are remastered PS3 games that cost $70. I get the frustration. I think this guy summed it up pretty nice though, comparing this to the 4K collector's box set of RoboCop. This is something that is very excessive, very expensive, but also really cool to have. When I first played The Last of Us in 2013, I gotta admit, I was pretty underwhelmed. From like 2008 to 2010, everything was fucking zombies. Dead Rising, The Walking Dead, Left 4 Dead, Dead Island, Dead Space, Call of Duty put zombies in, Yakuza put zombies, Red Dead put zombies. So here comes Naughty Dog. They go, hey, get this. We have an all new idea. Zombie video game, fuck off. The premise is so obvious, so cliche. You wake up in City 17 and there's gonna be a rebel faction and we're gonna go through the scary zombie part of town. It's Half-Life 2 meets Up, minus the gravity gun, the robot, and the flying house. So pretty much all the fun parts, that's gone. You stupid idiot dog company. Go back to making Doggy Bones or some shit. But then I play it again. And I go, wait a minute. And I make that exact noise. Then I realize this game is pretty good, actually. See? Oh, Michael, this is a parable that I have to go to work in this office. Now watch this. Exactly. Last of Us sucks? Exactly. Neil Drunkman's famous quote is, simple story, complex characters. Basically what he's saying is the complete opposite approach of Kingdom Hearts. What makes The Last of Us such a landmark in video game history is that it is maybe the first video game where people act and talk like people. In most video games, people have this very stodgy, formal way of talking to each other, where one character says their sentences, then your turn, your character says their sentences, and it just goes back and forth, perfectly, without error.
Ethan, can you please help me?
I'm coming.
But you're already there. When people actually talk to each other, the tempo of the conversation is very sporadic. We interrupt each other.
And eventually it's gonna blow up in your face.
We talk over each other. We respond non-verbally. Sometimes we don't respond at all because we weren't paying attention.
Can we please just get on with it? Here. Let's get on with it.
Right in its opening sequence, The Last of Us slams you with one of the most devastating scenes I've ever seen in a video game, and it's about 2 characters you don't even know yet. Compare this to the part of Devil May Cry 4, where Dante loses Trish.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
Typically, someone dying is not supposed to be really funny like how it is in video games. You have the scene where Tess is laying out her dying wish on Joel. She leans in and really plays up that desperation. It's total self-delusion, but Tess wants to go out thinking she was the hero, that her sacrifice saved the world, and it's telling of not only their relationship, but Joel as well, that she has to pull out the big guns and really guilt trip him into taking up her quest. The reason why Last of Us is able to execute such tricky scenes is because it really is about us. This game is all about dissecting what it means to be human. When it begins, Joel is nearly identical to the clickers that plague the landscape. He is an ugly, hopeless man going through the motions and killing indiscriminately with complete emotional detachment. He doesn't even like video games.
I was never a big fan of these things.
What a fucking sicko. When Tommy gives him a photo of his daughter, what does he do?
I'm good.
You sure? I mean,
I said I'm good.
To aliens playing this game, they're going, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But to us, people, we get it. Time and time again, we see Joel compartmentalize traumatic events, and when Ellie tries to talk about them, he shuts that shit down. He says, nope, we're not talking about Tess, we're not talking about Henry, we're not talking about Sarah, we're not talking about Jeff Goldblum. Yet at the same time, very early into the game, you see him starting to slip back into that father role, and he's still wearing the watch that his daughter gave him. That intrigue of reading faces and mannerisms and trying to psychoanalyze characters is something I associate with the great films like Godfather or The Shining. It's a form of storytelling I never thought video games would be able to achieve. With Uncharted, Naughty Dog toyed around with this story structure of exploring levels with your AI companion.
Look, Sully, your first car. Oh, man. That's a 1927 Auburn.
That back and forth dialogue feels so much more natural when it's them reacting to things that you can see and experience with them. Last of Us is a very atmospheric game, full of incredible sights and sounds, but to me, the boundary-pushing element is its dedication to characters over plot. This approach has influenced many of the best games of last generation, like Uncharted 4, Spider-Man, God of War, and even Red Dead Redemption 2. A story that you see repeatedly in the background of this game is how when people show their humanity, when they finally let their guard down and do the right thing, their reward is death. This is an idea cemented into every human being in this game. It's something that Joel understands better than anyone, and yet in the right circumstance, even he says, fuck it.
Well, no matter how hard you try, I guess you can't escape your past.
you ain't gonna make it.